What's up, moviegoers? Welcome to the Marchio podcast. I'm your host, Anthony. In today's episode, I will be talking about Hellraiser 6, Hellseeker, or Hellraiser, Hellseeker. Now, it is the 6th installment in the Hellraiser franchise, and Doug Bradley does return as the role of Pinhead. Now, basically, the story tells about a man by the name of Trevor Goodwin who survives a car accident that apparently killed his wife. Now, his wife is Kirsty Cotton. Yes, you heard it correctly. It's Christy from the first Hellraiser movie and the second one, and a cameo appearance in the third. So Ashley Laurence does come back and reprise her role as Christy, which is fantastic. Here's the catch. She's not in it that very long. Nope. It was just a tease, and that was it. Something happened to her character, and I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen Hellseeker. And during the course of this movie and the whole time, Trevor tries to manage and escape things, and he basically wakes up in a hospital and realizes that his wife is missing, and he has a head injury in his memory. He doesn't know what's happening, and he doesn't understand what's happening, and basically he finds himself as a suspect in a prime murder case, and that the numerous encounters that he has with certain detectives always happen together, but not at the same place, but at different times, and he's trying to figure out what happens. And he starts having hallucinations and then tries to figure out what's happening. Basically, what happened was that Trevor cheated on his wife with many other women and tried to get rid of Christy by making her reopen the Lamont configuration. So basically, what did she do? She did, but before being taken forever, she made one last deal with Pinhead. One last deal. And basically, in all the movies up until this point, she's the only one that made a deal with Pinhead and has made a deal with Pinhead. And for some odd reason, Pinhead still accepts her deal. Basically, the deal is that she offered to give him 5 souls in exchange for hers. And the interesting factor is that Kirsty, isn't so the sweet Kirsty that we know from the first movie, the second movie, or the cameo appearance in Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. So basically, Kirsty kills 3 of Trevor's mistresses, the friend Brett, who was compromising to kill her for her fortune. So basically, Kirsty has some kind of, a windfall of money, and she's very rich at this point. So you have the 3 mistresses, his friend Brett, and now who's the last person? Trevor. Now, during this whole time in the movie, he is the 5th soul that Pinhead needs and that Kirsty told Pinhead to take. And this entire time, he's been living in hell and living in limbo. Basically, she pinned all the murders on Trevor. Now, while I did say Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth was one of my favorites in the franchise, I have to say that Hellraiser 6 Hellseeker is a very close second, or maybe even tied with Hellraiser 3. Now, here's the thing. Not many horror movies bring back their big main characters from the very first movies, or make them appear later on in a 6th movie where you play the main role. Now, of course, during this time, Ashley Laurence as an actor, blossomed. She was very underrated. She is very underrated. And seeing her return as Kirsty was great. Her character definitely changed over the course of the 3 movies that she was in, which basically her character Kirsty was in. And with this one, it made up for it. It made up for how good things were. Like I said, the first one is great. The second one is not too bad. Third one is amazing. The 4th one brought the franchise down a lot. The 5th one brought it back up a little bit. But the 6th one, Hellseeker, brought it back to form, basically. And it worked really well. It worked tremendously, because seeing Kirsty back and seeing her interact with Pinhead, and Pinhead still taking her deal in bribes, is insane. He's this embodiment of evil, of the leader of the almighty Cenobites, the Order of the Gash. Plus, it was great to see Doug Bradley and Ashley Laurence share the screen again so many years later in this movie. And once again, it was a direct-to-video release. It wasn't released in theaters, but I think if you released it in theaters, it would have had a much more cult following. It was released in October of 2002, and the movie's only 89 minutes long. So it's very much under an hour and a half. But it's a good pace. It's a good story. And of any Hellraiser movie, you're trying to figure out what's happening. You're trying to figure out what's going on. And when you do figure out what's going on and you do figure out what's happening, It's fantastic. So basically how this movie came about was that the director Rick Boda basically in one of his scripts wanted the first film's protagonist Kirsty Cotton to come back. But she's been absent from the franchise when she had only a cameo appearance in Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. But people were worried that initially that she wouldn't come back, she wouldn't reprise her role, because not many actresses or actors come back in their original characters from the first movie that they do. However, Doug Bradley informed Ashley Laurence that this film was happening, that her character was coming back, and with that, she agreed to return. So, once again, Doug Bradley saved the franchise like he did back in the previous one with the script changes, and in this one, by bringing back one of the biggest characters in horror, being Kirsty Cotton, played by Ashley Laurence. Now, basically, after the filming completed, Boda decided against the wishes of the studio to screen a work print of the film for Clive Barker, because he provided notes and suggestions for the film's third act. Can you believe that? Clive Barker suggested notes and a little bit of, insight about what the third act should be. He was not officially part of the production team at all, but his input on the film and some uncredited influence on the third act specifically changed the dynamic of the sixth Hellraiser movie. And it was actually the last Hellraiser movie that Clive Barker had any involvement in, uncredited or otherwise. And like I said, the characters are based off of Clive Barker, but everything else other than that, the studios take control. They get the script, they start writing it, they hire a director, the producers, and they go on from there. But with Doug Bradley being such a iconic character actor, he gets to say what happens, and he had pull in this sequel, and it worked tremendously. If you haven't seen Hellraiser Hellseeker, check it out, because it's tied up there for me as the best Hellraiser movie in the franchise. So if you want to check it out, do so, because it's fantastic of a movie. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Hellraiser 6 Hellseeker, and if you checked it out. And if you haven't seen it, will you be checking it out? And what do you think about the story and the storyline? And what do you think about Ashley Laurence returning as Kirsty Cotton? And do you think that Kirsty's character was more so malevolent and, more so gut-wrenching than she was in the first two movies of the franchise? Because she was a sweet, innocent girl, and all of a sudden you see her in the sixth movie, she's a total different person. And probably she's a total different person because of what the things she went through in the first two movies. Who knows? Who knows what could have happened between that time? I'm not going to give away if it was discussed in the sixth movie what happened to her, or how she, gained her, windfall of being rich or anything, of being, of the fortune that she has, which is said in the movie. But it's very interesting how things played out. And I'm curious to see what you think and what your answers are in the comment section below. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos and new podcast episodes on the Marchio Productions YouTube page. And follow Marchio Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And follow me, Anthony, your host, on Instagram and Twitter at misterfilmstock. And follow the Marchio Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You can check it out and follow along. Alright everyone, that does it for today's episode. I'm your host, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.
Which do you find more exhilarating, the pain or the pleasure? Personally, I prefer pain.